Welcome back to another episode of the Cleanse Heal Ignite podcast. It's Warrior Wednesday, May 13th. And this is Doc Talk with Dr. Diane Kaiser. And we are on the Cleanse Heal Ignite podcast. The idea today is to inspire you with yet another Chi member who is has an amazing success story and his own hero journey, which is what we're all about. And Ray was with us in January, just before we started the Root Cause Reset, where we had 18 members join us to learn how to be their own best doctor by way of doing a lab test. It's a urine test. We look for 3 different types of toxins, toxin categories, I should say, heavy metals, environmental toxins, as well as mold waste, mold mycotoxins. And the reason that that's so important is I can't even think of, I probably know that the only people who are getting training like Ray is because Ray has been certified through our ministry. He is now a certified detox expert and holistic health coach. And the reason that I even created that course so that people can be certified as well as open up accounts with powerful lab companies, as well as supplement companies, and any other tool that requires them to be certified and some type of training is because it didn't exist. Like during COVID, it didn't exist. And I actually created this and launched this because when COVID happened, I realized that there were so many clueless doctors. And I'm not out here to shame anybody. I'm here to awaken people, ideally, that the way that they've been trained as clinicians, doctors, dentists, veterinarians is bullshit. I mean, it's flat out Rockefeller, white medicine, white coat, elitism. And this is what we're showing you right now. I believe Paula is showing you, what is that? The Warrior Cleanse, or is that the Root Cause Reset? Oh yeah, this is our certified holistic health coach landing page. So if you guys are out there and you're like, I am a health coach, I am a health leader, or I think I'm a health coach, but I still don't feel well. And what started me as a doctor is I'm like, I have so much training and yet I don't know how to heal myself. And I was like, what the hell is poisoning me? Why am I still sick? I'm doing all the right things. I'm talking to a lot of doctors. And I realized that the big part, and Paula is showing the page here of other coaches that went through the training with us, including dentists and nurses who wanted to break free from the pharmaceutical and physician poisoning that they have been taught, which is a faulty system. And we all know that America is like last, the United States is last as it pertains to outcome of chronic health, outcome to success, wellness. So when I guided people through this, they were like, I've never learned this in my training. And they were able to leave working as a nurse for the big box system. They were able to shift or maybe quit their dentistry practice because dentists are taught the same toxic system that doctors are, which is to prescribe poison. And no one's looking at toxic burden. So when I actually realized I need to look deeper, and what actually helped me pull myself out of my own, what I call the proverbial well, the sicker that you get, the deeper that you go, the less people can help you. And it's dark down there. It's scary down there. It's wet. You could drown. You can drown in your own poisons. You can drown in your own programming. You can drown in your own parasites. And once I realized that the arsonist theory, and I created this whole theory myself, and maybe some other people have gotten the download to use that analogy, is that it's not about chasing inflammation. You know, inflammation is just putting out the flames, but we can only focus on inflammation so long. It's who the hell are these arsonists that are causing that are setting the fires? And it's stress, hormone imbalance, infections, and toxicity. And we were talking to, you can stop this now, Paula, thank you. We were talking to one of our internal teams in the ministry this morning, and one of them, she's like, oh, I'm going to my doctor. I'm getting peptide recommendations. They're recommending HRT, and they're doing blood testing. And she's like, but I still can't sleep. My hormones are still a wreck. And I'm like, exactly. And then I said, what have they done to look under the hood or in your environment? When I say look under the hood, it's doing a urinary toxicity analysis to look for heavy metals, mold mycotoxins, and environmental toxins. That's a start. And we're only looking at like 100 plus toxins, even though there's like 85,000 plus in the environment that have been approved, and more than 3,000 gets rolled out every year. And less than 2% of them have ever been tested for safety. So it is innocent until proven guilty. as it pertains to the psychopaths that are making it rain pesticides and poisons. And so good luck, trying to bring any accountability to the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, any of these psycho organizations that are allowing this and actually recommending it and condoning it. And so this is a thing with the pesticide thing. I constantly say this is that, of course, Trump and Bobby Kennedy said, when you vote us into office, we're going to get rid of the glyphosate. We're going to stop doing the Roundup. And then about 3 months ago, they said it's a national threat, a national security threat to take it away because we would lose like 80 to 90% of our food supply and people would starve. And I'm like, so it's again, the polarity, the dialectic thinking, it's the lesser of two evils. It's this or that. It never has to be this or that, you guys. We have to think outside of the box, outside of the this or that, because it's either we take away glyphosate and Roundup and you guys all starve, or we keep it and you guys get super sick and your checking accounts, your retirement accounts get starved because you're going to get sick AF with glyphosate. And I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about today with a lot of these phosphates, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, which we found in all of the 18 patients that did the root cause reset with us in January. All of them had them, and they can have half-lives of decades. So it's not just like you eat something or you're exposed to something one day and then you urinate it out. That's not how it works. Your body will accumulate things that it can't excrete. And glyphosate and atrazine and all of these pesticides and herbicides, they literally block the pathway and they literally block the enzyme production that will support the facilitation and excretion of these said poisons, so that your body literally drowns in its own poisons. And we wonder why we're so overweight and people have weight gain, energy drain, broken brain, body pain, and the symptom train. So when we were talking back to bring this full circle to the woman who's like, I'm doing all these things. I'm spending a lot of money on peptides. I'm spending a lot of money on my wellness, and I still don't sleep well. I still don't feel better. And I said, what kind of toxic testing are they doing? And she said, well, she said something about maybe testing heavy metals. And I'm like, yeah, that's one of 3 major classifications of toxins. What I'm going to show you guys today is 2 other classifications, which is environmental toxins and mold mycotoxins, and we're going to bring on our guest now because Ray, we had him on for sometime in January. And it's Ray Negron. He is a certified Chi holistic health coach now and detox expert. And I believe that a part of his story, which we shared last time in January, had a lot to do with mold. And Ray, I want you to talk about that, though. But I first want to welcome you back. And the reason we're having you back is because I had to end that episode abruptly because I had somebody in my life I care about who was wanting to take their own life. And ironically, just recently, I actually got a note from his mother the next day that said, thank you so much for saving my son's life. And he's doing much better now. And interestingly, but this is not good. This is not fun. Somebody the powers that ought not be are saying that committed suicide was a friend of mine's ex-boyfriend, which is David Wilcock. And he is one of, like we say, the 12th scientist that air quotes took his own life. But yet people are like, wait a minute, did he? He had mental instability, but he was also, playing in the awakening sphere of extraterrestrials and other lives and the awakening journey, right? And then he was literally said the day before he was on his own show saying, I will never take my own life. So just so you guys know for the record. And the next day they made it public that he took his own life. And so now we're wondering about this, skull to, what's it called again, Paula? Skull to bone? No. Skull to voice to skull. Voice to skull. Right? Yeah, voice to skull. They call it V2K. Thanks, Paula. And they have the ability to program our minds. They've already been doing it since birth on, they've been programming our minds, like white coat syndrome, talk to your doctor. They're the only ones that can save you. That's just like conscious programming or unconscious programming. But then there's the other programming, which is like these EMF fields and RF. And anyway, I don't want to get too off topic and too negative, but it's definitely MK Ultra. And we've all been under this hypnosis for a long time that you should talk to your doctor, take a drug. If nothing works, and maybe just accept it that it's just your genes, or you're screwed, or it's too much stress, or it's a rare condition and no one else can fix it but them, and then you're afraid, and then you end up working with that doctor because it's the same bullshit psychology. And I repeat myself on every podcast, but I want Ray to take the stage now because I do believe, speaking of these poisons, and if you're listening, and if you are somebody who is a clinician, is a doctor, is a health coach, or if you're somebody who has been working with one of those series of types of doctors, the next thing that I want you to ask them, or the next thing I want you to start with your patients, is to consider starting with toxins first. What is poisoning you? What is disrupting your hormone cycles? What is turning off the cell signaling from your brain to your endocrine glands to actually make healthy levels of all of these hormones? And then your cell's ability to receive them at the receptor site level. I mean, there's a whole cascade of things that are going on out there. And we have two schools of people who will go back and talk to the doctor, get more drugs, listen to them, get more scans. Then there's people who are like, okay, I'm done with that bullshit. How do I take health in my own hands and become my best doctor? I can't think of anybody better than Ray who's actually done that, because Ray's story we shared in January in that show, it started with mold, it started with water damage. But Ray, let's first introduce yourself. You went through the ministry, you have your certification. What things have you learned that you didn't know then that you're now employing as a health leader?
Oh my God, there's so much to learn. There's so much to forget. There is. It's like, first you got to come with a clean slate again, because what you think you know, you knew, but then you have to, like that word tabula rasa, which just means to clean your slate and learn, take things from where you are to where you want to go. Because in life, sometimes you just get busy, you get stressed out, you're just going, beyond your slight edge, and you're just trying to work to get things done, but you're not taking into account your health. And we're in a go community. Also, we're in a culture that wants to do the opposite. They just want a free lunch, and and they want everything. They want communism. They want that UBI stuff. But the one thing that's common is health. If you don't have health, you don't have anything. You don't have your wealth. You can't produce. And I believe your health is everything. And I learned so much through Diane's. I first joined the VIP, and then I decided to invest slowly. I did the Warrior. I just forgot the name of it. The Warrior
Cleanse?
The Warrior Cleanse. Then I did the Parasite Detox. And then I said, you know what? This is so amazing, because everything is energy. We're energy. We're trying to vibrate at the highest we can. And the only way to get on with our life with purpose, discipline, and attitude is to have good energy, because we're here to do things that are in service of others. And so I eventually decided, I said, you know what? I want to teach this stuff. I think I found my path again, because I believe in life. Sometimes you fall out of, you move off that path and you try to do something else and you forget about your health. And then you're like, wait, whoa, what am I doing? And when I got sick in September 2023, I went off that path. I went in the woods to play with the bear, and the bear ate my arm and leg. And now I had to crawl back on the path again and figure it out. But when I got sick, I still did not trust the medical system. They wanted to, like you said, do scans, do x-rays, put a thing up my butt. And the thing was, I wanted to heal myself. I was like, you know what? I grew up this way. I grew up learning what to eat, what to take, what to do. But somewhere along the line, I left that path. And then, the universe, the one song or whatever you want to call it, came back and bitch slapped me. And I had to come back and figure it out. And Diane was my guiding light. She helped me figure things out. She helped lead me to who I am today and who I'm being. I look at her as a mentor, and she's genuine. She's a genuine person. She's fun.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The mentor. I'm not your savior.
No, God, no. I don't want to put you on a pedestal. I want to respect what you're giving me.
Right.
And I want to say, you know what? Thank you. Because behind every good man or behind every good woman is a good man or a good woman. We need to, one-on-one is two, 1 + 1 is 2, but we need to collaborate. That's how we become better. We become better by being together with other people that serve your best in mind. And you did that, and I appreciate that. And now I got to put on my own big boy pants and continue with my life,
Yes. And I want to showcase what you had actually, told us about this, because we do help men, we help women, we help children. After COVID happened, I saw that the world was getting sick, and there wasn't enough leaders that were talking about the poisoning being the problem. And so I think that, there is a special type of someone. If you're not somebody who wants to hit the easy button, I mean, and here's the other thing. Sometimes the easy button is the thing that wakes them up to give them enough energy and motivation to be able to want to be their own best doctor. This is where certain things like certain peptides, mitochondrial support is the bridge that helps to bring them to that point. Because some people are so far down the well that it takes them that to bump them up a little bit higher to even have a positive outlook on hope, because they've tried so many things, right? Like, Ray, what you said, and this is interesting as a man, right? My only hesitation on why, so we always ask the question, what was your biggest fear towards stepping into this, becoming your own health coach and working with our team to help you doing this? And you said, my only hesitation wasn't about Dr. Diane. It was about the principle of surrender. As a man, I believe we are 100% responsible for our own outcomes. I've never been weak. And even when my weight dropped to 112 pounds and nearly dead, I was determined to be my own best doctor. And I also wanted to share this part too, because you said, even with my background in naturopathy, I realized that awareness must precede change. Some huge wisdom right there, Ray. My breakthrough came when I looked at my immediate environment with a critical eye, and I realized that less is more. I had to address the hidden toxins like dust and mold in my collection of antique books that were contributing to my symptoms. Swapping out toxic products and decluttering my space wasn't just about cleaning. It was about removing the invisible barriers to my healing. When you master your environment, you stop fighting an uphill battle against your own biology. And I think that that's huge because, again, a lot of people will do, let's say, a urine test, a toxic burden test, a lead blood test, which is the only, there's just a few types of toxins that are best assessed in blood, but people think, oh, I did a blood test, my doctor said everything was clear. Urine looks for the metabolites of this waste. And we want to look at not just metals either. We want to look at the full gamut and then ask the question, if you're urinating a lot of them out, where are they coming from in your environment? What is the exposure? So we stop the poisoning, because a lot of people just do a cleanse, but that's an uphill battle if you don't address the environment, just like you said, Ray. So you have a background in naturopathy. You've done a lot of things. You almost died. Can you just remind us what happened when you dropped weight so significantly? You mentioned last time you were in a water damaged building, and that's when your health issues began, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I was, I had a place in a town called Middletown, and there was so much water damage in this area that I know is definitely it compounded over time. But the thing is your environment's everything. I was around a lot of towers. I definitely think I got electro sickness, right? What they call neurasthenia. I guess they don't really bring that term around anymore. I think the Russians do, but America doesn't. They call it chronic fatigue syndrome or anxiety.
Right? Adrenal dysfunction.
Huh?
Adrenal fatigue.
Right, adrenal fatigue. But the thing is we're surrounded by these big ass fucking towers, right? These EMF, they're giving you 4G, 5G. You don't know. Maybe they could turn on 6G and 7G. How the fuck do you know? You don't.
Hey, maybe that's really where the whole bat theory came, is the virus came from a bat. It's actually big ass towers.
Right. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's cute. I like acronyms. I'm an acronym guy, so I love it. But exactly. And when I was thinking about it, when I got better, because when I was sick, I couldn't think. I was thinking about, okay, I'm dying. I'm going from 210 pounds. I'm reverse engineering down to, I got to 110, 112. My organs were shutting down. I wasn't going to the bathroom for weeks on end. My mother was taking care of me at the time because I had no one else, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody abandoned me. But that's okay. It got me stronger. And I said, you know what? I'm either going to lay out in the woods and I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to look up to heaven and meet my maker or whoever, or meet nobody. I don't know. I have no idea. Or just be the continuous energy stream that I am and go somewhere else, whatever that thing is. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to get better. I'm going to do everything at 100%. There's bright lines and fuzzy lines. I said, you know what? I've lived the fuzzy fucking lines. I don't want to live it. I want to be 100% responsible for my health. I want to bioarchitect my body, right? There's open gates and closed gates. I need to open. I got to figure them out. How does this thing work? That is me. How is this skin suit me? And figure it out. And that's when I looked for the answers. And this beautiful woman popped into my stream. It was you, and I was like, I got to take care of. I got to listen to her. She's saying some cool stuff. I really like it. I enjoy it. but I need to get better. And I would do anything to get better. And you said something before about, our mindset, our fortitude, right? The emotional, mental strength we have to move forward in our life. That's everything, because we can form our own crime scenes. Years ago, when I was a drinker, I had, this guy tell me in the rooms, he said, there's crime scene A, crime scene B, and see your way out. And I said, I never thought about that, but we always form our own crime scenes to why we don't do anything, or not even commit, because we break commitments, but devote. Like when I devoted to this and I was able to heal myself over time, that's where the power came. That's where I decide, what, I can fix myself. I am the high performance machine. I am the cure for cancer. I am the cure for my colitis, but I have to be aware of the environment. And sometimes we're not aware, like Diane will point. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even think about that. And then I have to go, let me shut the Wi-Fi off. What am I doing? Sleeping with the Wi-Fi on, you fucking idiot. And I'm talking to myself, not anybody else. And, there's these simple little things that you forget. And
or never knew, never knew, because that's the thing, is like the simple things. Oh, you were talking about not resetting the Wi-Fi is not something that you forgot. That was a new discovery, but the simple things that you never forget, like the movement, the hydration, that sort of thing.
Like when I did a parasite cleanse, you asked me a question. I was like, oh, all of a sudden I got better. And you said, what was your reservation? I forgot what you said, but you said, what was your reservation behind you not doing the parasite cleanse? I was like thinking that, they were going to like eat my body, or like aliens coming out of my stomach, and these stupid little cartoonish type. I was like, am I a boy or am I a man? I said, I'm a fucking man. I said, now what would a man do? Right? Sometimes you got to go, what would my forefathers do? What would the people who sit at my table, right? If you have these mental, strong people, like I have, people that sit at my table. Diane's one of them. And I have other mentors that sit at my table that I have invisible conversations with that steer me in the right direction. I don't need to be next to Diane for Diane to talk to me. She's there with all the other buddies that I have, having that conversation when I need clarity.
Hey, there's a medication for that, Ray, because clearly if you have multiple voices in your head, then you're schizophrenic, and you should actually be hospitalized for that.
I know, right?
That's the thing. Like what Ray's talking about is so beautiful. It's your round table of rebels, right? Like who do you follow? They're like, if you're the top 5 of the people that you surround yourself with, let those top 5 be people. And Ray said this last time, who've actually walked through their own fires and are looking back and handing buckets to the people who still have their own in front of them, so they could put their own fires out. And then after they do that, then they look to the leader and go, okay, how did you do that? So this is what I love to do in the ministry, is oftentimes people, like, and I use the other analogy, where they're so far down the well, and that's where Ray was when he was like half the weight, 60 pounds less than what you are now. And I'm like, parasites are literally eating you alive and stealing your nutrients. And I remember that conversation, Ray, because I have to sometimes get out like a sledgehammer and bonk people on the side of the head.
You should do it harder.
Well, that's what the shows are for, right? But people, like you said it so well earlier, that people create their own blocks. They create their own roadblocks, but it doesn't come from them. It comes from the programming. This is why we have to break free from the programming, so you realize that you do have hope. And like Ray said, you are your own healing machine. I'm going to share something real quick, because
can I say something real quick? You can't be embarrassed about your sickness. You cannot be embarrassed about your sickness. Listen, I'm going to embarrass myself right now, but when I had this extreme ulcerative colitis, I was literally pulling over the side of the road to shit in the woods. Like, I was in a church parking lot one time. I was taking a dump, and people were looking at me coming out of the church. I was like, I'm sorry. I said I have some, health problems. And but once you get over that, you're like, now I got to heal it. I don't want this anymore.
Right.
I'm fed up with it. And then you need to, because a lot of people hide from their sickness. So they hide with their family. They become the handicap, and they're like, oh, I'm sick. I don't mean anything. And they shrink back instead of saying, you know what, I need to get over this. I need to become a high performing human. And this is what I need to do in this one great life. There's only once. One day the lights are going to go out in your eyes, and that's it. And
Yeah.
you got to fucking live your purpose. You got to live your discipline. You got to have gratitude. There's great people around. Like Diane's a great woman. I mean, she is who she is on the show. Like there's no doubt about it. Of course, you also got to be open to learning and earning that and being like, how the fuck can I apply this to my life today? Everything she says in the VIP, you got to say, when I come in, I've already done all the shit. Like I took my 10-minute cold shower. I got naked in the sunlight. I drank my water. I took my vitamins. I probably did 300, 400 reps or something. But there's a thing to initiate the engine to get it going. Yeah,
it's the fire. It's the fire within. And I think that there's two ways of looking at that is that, right now it's what do you feel like is most on fire? Is it your hero within, your healing hero within, or is it your body? And your body being set on fire was not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So these poisons in your environment are the things that are the arsonists that are setting fire to your body, therefore resulting in inflammation, which is 95% of the root cause of disease, but it's still not the root. The arsonists are the root. Who's setting fire to your body? So what things on fire? And what Ray's talking about, it half of this hero's healing journey is psychology. The other half is biology. And then there's a lot of stuff in between, right? But the psychology of it is, and even if you weren't raised by parents who, taught you to be a believer, maybe they taught you to be a believer in a religion, but not necessarily a believer of the God within you. And, God will save me. I'll pray this away. I'll ask Jesus for, no. That is, it feels nice, but there's nothing in there as far as taking action. So taking action says, I'm going to be the hero and work with God or work with Jesus or work with whoever your metaphor is for your God, whatever you assign that to be, and say, hey, walk with me. That could be one of your 5 people, right? To say, hey, I'm hearing this person or this voice that's cheering me on. And oftentimes people are so far down that well that Ray is bringing up a good point. Shame, fear, and guilt are the things that keep people down in the well. We can give people all the protocols in the world. This is something that Ray said. What he said is as far as what we're doing here, the protocols are the foundation because they address the reality that most people are the primary obstacle to their own healing. This isn't a collection of tips. It's a systematic order of operations. Health isn't a passive state. It's a discipline. When you align your mindset with these intentional actions, you stop negotiating with your symptoms and start executing a protocol for life. You follow the system because the system produces results. And so what I often hear, and it's stories like Ray, is people will say, I was struggling, I was suffering, I was doing all the right things, I was talking to a lot of doctors, I was spending hundreds of thousands, I work with Mayo Clinic, I work with the best doctor in the world on blah, 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 and I'm still here. And I'm like, what have they done to empower you to be your own best hero and healer? And this is where Ray took it and said, I'm doing this on my own, but I'm doing it alongside a protocol from a group that already done the work. And
someone that knows fucking more than me, just a little bit more. And now a lot of it, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to delegate my health to anybody. I'm not a delegate.
Right.
I'm enthusiasm, the God within, it's not separate from you. You're part of it. You're part of that energy, that biochemical energy, that goes through you. What do we vibrate at? Like 6 hertz, 8 hertz. I know cats and dogs vibrate
528
hertz. Okay.
528.
500. Okay, we'll go with 528. But the thing is like you're an energetic being, and you can't surrender. You gotta. You're here for a purpose. Once you like, and we used to take pride, right? What was American pride known as? Like being prideful of being American, working hard, providing for your family, providing for your beautiful wife and kids, like providing from your local community, providing for the people around you, even your neighbors that may need your help. And that is pride, taking pride in yourself. Diane takes pride in the way she looks, like she's gorgeous. I take pride in my old man status,
Yes.
like the way
We
I
need more
look,
of that. Make vintage.
My little hooks on my shirt, my little decoration shirt. But the thing is, I take pride in myself. And maybe some of you guys lost your way, and you can find it. And there's a way to find it.
A group helps that too, because when you're in a community,
everything, man.
I mean, there's people like Ray in there in our VIP community, and now we have the elite VIP group, which is for peptides, bioregulators, regenerative medicine. And so we have 2 different groups. And also Paula is flashing something below. that is for the root cause reset, which we're starting in June again. And we're taking people who are early birds until May 22nd, because what you get in that is access to the elite VIP group. You get 3 labs in one. We ship it directly to you. We're teaching you over an class period where your toxins are coming from in your environment, and then what's showing up on the lab, so that you know exactly how to cleanse those poisons, and you're not doing this alone. And we're doing, if you guys join by May 22nd, you guys get an extra free month of the elite VIP group in there. And that is a $300 value. The root cause reset link is dianekaiser.com/RCR. Real quick, Ray, I'm going to segue over to show people what we found in the root cause reset.
Sure.
I'm going to come back to you because I want to hear a little bit more about your own hero's journey. Like I know you were talking about some things that you were struggling with. People need to hear what you're talking about, because it's like colitis and they're told that all they can do is, like you said, shove things in your butt. I want you to talk to people about where they are, because I think a lot of people need to hear this, because you literally took yourself from probably dying of colon cancer to turning yourself around to being a total badass and leading other people to finding their own hero's journey. And so doing your own hero's journey alone, you guys, don't recommend it. Do not recommend it, because you're going to keep hearing the same stories and you're going to keep recycling them. You need something that's polishing you to have a new way of thinking.
Yeah, pattern interrupt.
Yeah, a pattern interrupt. It is like literally somebody taking a bat to your head and saying, "Where did you get that thought? We got to beat this out of you." Whatever, not physically, literally, but being your own best parent, because nobody else is going to do it for you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and show you guys just the results of this, because the one that we were the most concerned about, and I knew this going into it, is that we would have, can you guys see my screen? Okay. I knew we would get to this point that the majority of the problem that so many people are facing is mold toxicity. And I believe that was a part of Ray's story and pretty much every patient we're dealing with now, because what we found in 18 of our 18 root cause reset patients was these 3 most prevalent mold toxins. Ochratoxin A was in 72% of patients, and common symptoms include fatigue, brain fog, kidney stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, and weight resistance. Now, this actually defines, if you look at the majority of what people are struggling with in the United States and beyond, is I'm tired, I can't think, my kidneys I have back pain, kidney issues, or whatever, UTIs, anything. Mitochondrial dysfunction, I'm exhausted, and my body cannot sell signals. So it's almost like it's not communicating within each part of the body, right? And then weight resistance. Now, this is why people are hitting the easy button, GLPs. But also, if you go down a GLP and try to fix the weight issue, and never address the exposure of mold, you're going to go right back to where you started. Yeah. So I'm a fan of GLPs, especially retatrutide, but we also need to look at the environment, because that's what makes this work better. Wendy, one of our patients, when we brought her on retatrutide after all of this, planting the seed and foundational health and clearing her body of toxins and the environment, she actually lost the 20 something pounds that she wanted to lose. And 98% of it was pure fat. Except for on the flip side, most people taking Ozempic, 40 to 50%, 30 to 40% of it can be their bones, their connective tissues, their muscle. And then when they get off of it, they gain weight 4 times faster than dieters alone. It's like a 72% rebound weight gain versus retatrutide, which is much less. Anyway, it's important to look at the exposure of toxins. And we talk about that in the root cause reset. I will talk about peptides and bioregulators in there as well. And then this one, fusarium, was seen in almost every patient. The symptoms are metabolic dysfunction, which means that you don't feel like exercising. You cannot build your own muscle again. Your muscle wasting. Muscle actually helps you burn fat in a rested state and helps you make more human growth hormone while you sleep. And then you feel hungry all the time for things that you know are not good for you. I could give you the recipe book all day long, eat this. And the metabolic dysfunction says, no, I want sugar. And the parasites are like, thank you. And then that increases cancer, because parasites are the main root cause of cancer. Hormone disruption, gut inflammation, which is what Ray was struggling with. And then insulin resistance. And then aflatoxins were seen in half the patients. Things that you might see with that would be liver congestion, bile flow issues, inflammatory weight gain, basically people who cannot take the trash out and they end up overweight. This also impacts your estrogen. This is, people go, oh, my doctor checked my hormones, but hormones are the things that are being driven by toxins. So if you have mycotoxins like zearalenone, that is an estrogen receptor activation. So you end up estrogen dominant. Doesn't matter what HRT that you take at that point. You have toxins that are literally spiking your estrogen, and then everything that goes with that: weight gain, obesity, fatty liver disease, brain fog, you can't get pregnant, you have fertility issues, you could have low testosterone, not being able to get an erection. I can go on and on about xenoestrogen. So we got to look at all of this because they do impact hormone signaling, metabolic rate, and insulin sensitivity. I'm going to come back to you, Ray, because I know that a big part of your journey started with a water damaged house, wasn't it?
Yeah, it started that, but it didn't end that way. I got out of that environment, and guys, boners are important. Don't forget, you need boners. Very important.
At all
ages. Waking up getting hard. Dude, I wake up, I'm like, yes, still working. So that's important, importante. So it's everything. But go ahead, sorry. I just had to throw that in there.
No, totally, because the first thing that we're men are programmed to get is Viagra. And PT 141 is a maybe better alternative in the peptide world, but those are still not looking at why can my body not circulate enough to have an erection, right? So you came to the point, Ray, where you talked a little bit about it already. You were shitting on the side of the road. Your bowels were, I call it bipolar bowel disease, where you have sometimes constipation, sometimes diarrhea.
And you got to laugh eventually. If you keep going through it and you're putting yourself through it, you got to laugh to get through it.
Yes.
I would eventually laugh. I'd be taking a leak, whatever it is, because there was all kinds of weird things that happened. It wasn't just that. It was like I didn't know which side if I had to go one or two, I had no idea. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, what's happening? Okay, I got to pull over. There was pressure on both ends, so I didn't know where it was going to go and where it was coming out. But these are the things that you need to use to drive you. So the answers are here, man. I remember years ago, I went to a doctor named Barry Goldman, and he was fat as fuck. And I was like, Barry. And Barry's like, yeah, Ray, you're in shape, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I am, man. I was playing rugby at the time. And, the thing is like that dude died, man. They don't tell you how many doctors fucking die a year, do they? Do you ever know the statistics of how many doctors get jabbed, get sick, all that? But I'm going to go off the beaten path. Steer me back, Diane. Where are we?
Oh, no, it's okay. I mean, I think that's important too, is if you're working with somebody who isn't walking the walk of the talk that they talk, then
you do.
It's a hypocrite. It's a hypocrite, You
do. You're not a sophist. You're a realist. That's what I love about you. And I think you could push on people harder. In my head, I'm always like, Diane, be harder. I'm always like, be harder.
Yeah.
But it's just who I am, because I like to be hard on myself, because when I push, when I had to push through this, when I had to be extreme and just say, I'm going to do anything to get better, or I'm going to die trying. But aren't you going to do that either way? You're going to die staying like shit, or you're going to die getting better.
Let's talk about the other way, Ray. I want people to really feel the journey that you went on, because the majority of people, they go to their doctor, they want to stick something up your butt. They're looking for, I think most people, when they go in, they're like, I'm desperate. I don't know if there's other solutions. And then they're afraid, right? So let's go to the doctor. Please tell me I'm not dying. Please tell me I don't have cancer. And then they're told they don't have cancer, and then they go home relieved, thinking, okay, we checked that off. I'm not dying of cancer. I'm going to go back to my own lifestyle. What was happening? You went to the doctor, you had a lot of issues with your bowels and many other things going on. What was going on? What did the doctors tell you, and what happened on that journey? Did it work? Did it not work? Did it at least help with symptoms?
No, not at all. Nothing helped, because I didn't want to be tested. I didn't want to be x-rayed. I just didn't want to go through scans. I just wanted answers that I'm like, okay, because I was just in pain. And if it was up to me, I would have just stayed home and been in pain. I would have just stayed there and just sat there and be like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out, because I'm stupid. And I'm like hard-headed. And the thing is I got in an argument with one of my doctors. I forgot. He was an Indian doctor. And he says, you'll be back. He says, when you're in enough pain, you'll be back. I'm like, no. I said, dude, right now I'm going to the gym. I'm going to force past this. But the thing is like, I didn't want a scope up my butt. I read a whole bunch of research on that and saw that it can do a lot of damage. It can actually perforate your colon and rip it open.
Yes.
What was that?
It does. We've seen lots and lots of patients.
And he's like, I did thousands. I'm like, how many of those? Because I'm pretty forthright when I speak. I said, how many of those went wrong?
Mm-hmm. They don't even know.
He paused. He didn't even know what to say. He just said,
they don't know the answer.
No, they went right.
Doctors are,
It's like
and
a
we
fucking lie.
pedestalize doctors that they should know that answer. And then we
Right.
hope, okay, please tell me that it's a safe procedure. And then, but the doctors are not told. And I have a heart for the doctors too, because I work with a lot of them.
Of
You know, they
course.
are where they need to be, but they have no
This
place
dude
to
wanted
go.
to argue. But
So,
another thing that you make a point is you talk about markers, like the
mhm,
way you like the markers, like you work with a company that does the toxicology lab audits, if that's
mhm.
the right term. But the
It's
thing
called,
is,
yeah, urinary analysis to look for toxic burden
yeah,
exposure.
urinary, stool, blood, you could do organic acids. But the thing is like their markers are from healthy people. They're not from sick
Mhm,
people, right?
mhm.
When you go to the hospital, there, and that's one thing that stood out to me in one of your trials. I was like, holy shit, I never even thought about that. And this was years ago when I learned it. I was thinking, like, they measure you when you're already almost dead, and then you have to be there.
They'll
They're
keep an
not
eye on it
measuring,
until you're almost dead.
huh?
They'll keep an eye on it. They look at your markers and they're like, well, some things are slightly elevated or
Yeah, let's
something.
wait till you get sicker. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's
Keep an eye
wait
on it
3
until
months
you
later. We'll
get sick.
make another appointment. We'll keep an eye. Oh, you're sick now. You need me. Okay, cool.
So you didn't do any of those scans. Did you ever take any of the medications, or like how
No.
long was your journey? Like what was that like when you were going in and out trying to figure it out? How long were you sick?
Over a year and a half.
And
Yeah,
you were
so
struggling with all the symptoms you were talking
yeah, I
about
was
and they
going
never
through
gave
like anger, grief, denial, like the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross shit with all the emotions. And I
Mhm.
was just like, what do I do? Why am I like this? And then I was like, I'm just being a little woman about it. It's funny now because I made it through the other side. It wasn't funny at the time. I was
No.
depressed. I didn't feel good. I wanted to fucking end my life. I was like, take me or get me better. Take me or get me
Mhm.
better. And then I did do all this weird shit, like even having orgonite in your life. But the thing is like, I believe in it. I was talking to my organs. I was sending energy there. I was like, having interesting conversation, just working anything to get better. And I think that stuff works when you're in a high certainty state and you work to get better. But yeah, it took me like month 4. I was like, okay, I gotta be 100%. I can't be like this. I don't want this life anymore. I don't want to be this sick person being taken care of by his mother,
Mhm.
right? It's like, and I'm still jettisoning out of that. I'm still not totally out of it because I lost everything. So it's like I'm starting again incrementally, and now I'm taking the path of being a certified coach, what I call myself a bioarchitect, to architect the body structures and open the gateways and close the paths and open other paths. That everything has a system, right? Everything
Mhm.
has a structure. Everything has boundaries. And once you understand that, you learn from Diane or someone like myself, you can take this and do it for life. It's like you invest 2-3 years with somebody, right? And then you go on your own journey and you're like, okay, now I got to check in with VIP and make sure I'm doing it right. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then Diane can help you do things like, you know what, maybe come back and, I'll do my lab reports twice a year or 3 times a year, just to make sure I'm not, you know, in the fucking red again.
I
You
want to
know,
share this. I'm actually going to share. Thanks for that point, Ray. And you guys, we keep flying this, and when you go to your doctor, they're never, ever, 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 ever going to start with toxins. This is, I mean, and maybe they'll look for lead. Maybe they'll look
they don't
for.
even have all the tests that you
They don't.
do.
There's
They don't
there's
even
no
have all the
test.
tests that you do, for your
Yeah.
patients or members, your
So it's
members.
important to know when you go to your doctor, what is their lane? What are they? I'm talking about medical doctors. What are their lane? They're going to do a basic blood test. They're going to look for CBC, metabolic panel, and then you're going to leave there with a prescription or some sort of scan or some sort of maybe diagnosis. And Ray was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. That's not a fun life to live. That could lead to straight colon cancer. Now we have colon cancer happening, it's
Tumors.
spiking, like half of people in their 20s. So I want to show something because I think it's important for you guys to see too what these things will end up looking like. And we have a lot of different patients that we test. This is what it looks like when we're taking into consideration what toxins show up. So here you can see we're looking in the red, the ones that are the most
Right.
concerning. This is what we see as trending in patients. Look how much mold shows up there. And I already talked about mold, and BPA shows up in virtually everybody. And these DEDTPs, like what is that? Let me actually just show you how prevalent these are, because it's like, well, this looks like code. And don't ever just take a lab test and then try to read it on your own. You need somebody who understands this training. So looking even further, this is another patient. Very similar toxins are showing up, right? BPA off the chart. And then this is the second part of their lab. So again, I'm going to zoom in on this one. more mold, right? Barium, that's what they're spraying in the chemtrails. Look at DEDTP again. I'll get into what that means in a minute. And then it's very similar, more mold, MEHHP, more of the same metabolites coming from organophosphides, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides. So you're seeing a trend here, right? And then what we found is, again, 18 out of 18 patients had high levels of mold, and 18 out of 18 patients had ridiculous amounts of the pesticides and herbicides. So I'm gonna show you guys this one. This one is actually showing you that 18 out of 18 people had high levels of pesticides, had VOCs, environmental phenols, herbicides, mitochondrial markers. What that means is, you guys, if you're toxic, you can't make your own energy from your cells, and the mitochondria are helping to cell signal through all of your organs. Like Ray was talking about, talking into his own organs. Well, mitochondria and ATP production helps your organs to literally biologically communicate within itself. Parabens, phthalates. I just did a webinar last night about how to reduce the parabens and phthalates in your personal care products, your beauty products, your hair care products, etc. So this is important to take a look at, because all of the people who we tested, they were extremely off the chart. So now we go back to what I was mentioning about, what are these organophosphate pesticides? They were shown in every one of our patients. It was classic number one thing that we saw prevalent across everybody. They had elevated levels. And these are metabolites of those poisons of, well, but I'm eating organic, Diana, but I'm vegan, Diane, but I'm eating paleo, Diane, but blah, blah, blah. But they're sprayed everywhere. And we're, especially in the United States, one of the reasons I left for Mexico is we don't do that here. And these metabolites, they are used not just on food, and not just if I'm not eating these things. They're also, of course, in golf courses and parks. They're classic all over grains. They're in home pest control products. They're going to be in the churches. They're going to be in the schools, everything that's around you. That's why I always take a look at, and I train clinicians like Ray. Go onto mapquest.com, put your address in, zoom out and see how much green is in that neighborhood, because that's what's blowing into your house. 98% of toxins we're exposed to are in our own home, or so they say, 95%, because we need to make sure our home is not polluting us. But the most important thing to understand about 18 out of 18 patients who had these high levels of organophosphate pesticides is it affects what's called a cytochrome P450 enzyme pathway. And it's a large family of enzymes that are primarily found in the liver, but also in the gut, in the brain, lungs, skin, and kidneys. And Ray was struggling with his gut with ulcerative colitis, right? But think of it, this pathway, as your body's biochemical processing plant, like it's your waste factory, right? And its job is to neutralize pesticides and plastics and the mold toxins and all of these things I showed you guys images of, and medications, which Synthroid is super toxic for the same things that actually cause thyroid disease to begin with, and it'll keep you sick, right? But its job is also, this pathway is to convert toxins into water-soluble compounds. It's to prepare your body for waste through elimination of the drainage pathways like your bile, your urine, your sweat, and your stool. It's to metabolize these xenoestrogens that are all the Ps, like the plastics, the pesticides. We see BPA high on everybody for the most part. Its job is to metabolize the xenoestrogens, the cortisol, thyroid hormones, and neurotransmitters, and then activate and deactivate medications and supplements. This is where your supplements stop working. Your medications, you don't feel too much better. But your job, the cytochrome, what I mentioned, it's very sciencey, and I'm sorry for being sciencey for a minute. Cytochrome
You
P4.
nerd. I'm kidding.
Yeah, nerdy. Yeah, that's why I have my glasses on. But this pathway and these enzymes, their job is to be your body's waste factory and to eliminate them. But when this system is impaired, the toxins and the hormones, they accumulate faster than the body can clear them. We end up with all the body pain, the weight gain, energy drain, the broken brain, the symptom train, right? This is where people are reaching for GLPs. This is where people are reaching for, I'm doing all the right things, I diet, exercise, but it's not working because this pathway is impaired by these very poisons that we found in every single patient. So this is why we can't just GLP it away. This is why we can't just diet and exercise it away. We need to figure out what things are poisoning us. We absolutely need that. So I wanted to make mention of that, because once you have these labs and you know what toxins are coming out of you, then you can understand the importance of how to get them out of your body, how to get them out of your environment, and why. Because if people don't understand truly how these poisonings are blocking their body's ability to lose weight, they won't ever lose weight. And this is where people are like, I have a thyroid disorder. I have, weight gain. They say obesity is a disease. No, it's not. It's your body's poisoned and your body can't take the waste.
And it can't catalytically use the enzymes to move to the element that it needs. It can't go from T4 to T3 in your
Exactly.
thyroid.
Exactly. So I want to wrap up, Ray, because I think that what you wrote, and it's beautiful what you said, working with Chi didn't just save me money, it saved my life. Most people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trapped in the medical cartel system, trading their health for a lifetime of pills and side effects. By choosing radical intentionality and following a proven system, I bypassed that trap entirely. I likely saved hundreds of thousands in future medical debt, but most importantly, I saved my time. And now you're trading your time for treating other people with what you learned here. So if we're talking about other people who are in this, in the well, in the cycle of trying to, get treated by people who are never going to fix the root cause, what would you say to them?
I would say take a chance, get outside of the medical cartel system and look people like Diane, myself, and other naturopathic practitioners or doctors, naturopathic doctors that have your well-being in mind, that have you wanting to be able to function, right? Because if your mitochondria isn't able to channel and turn on that sunlight, and you're being infested by chemicals, right? They have that new hepatovirus, whatever that is. That's another global depopulation agenda thing.
Santa virus, I call it.
Yeah, what another name? That name, this name, that whatever the fancy term is. But again, it's the chemicals. I believe we're not being hit with viruses and bacteria. We're being hit with chemicals, and that's what's getting us sick. It's not a virus. They tell you it's a virus, so you think you could beat it, but no, we're spraying you with chemicals, man. We're going to poison your ass. But the thing is, I would look for alternative answers, man. Be your own, like Diane says, be your own best doctor, be your own best philosopher, be your own best wisdom, and seek the answers out. Stop letting other people take charge where you can take control. I always say this, don't just take care, take control. Because when you grab the harness of the horse, right? Diane rides horses. I don't know how to ride horses. I don't know if I'd be thrown off and I would laugh, probably breaking my leg, but I would laugh a lot. But the thing is like you hold on to the reins of your own horse, your own power. And now you get to guide it beautifully. And then you become one with that horse. You become one with your purpose. If you don't have health, you can't live your purpose. Most men and women are not living their purpose. And that's one huge thing is like, we need to find our purpose again. Whatever that purpose is for you. It could be cutting bonsai trees for the rest of your life. I have no idea. But wherever you are, you have to have a purpose and be of service. And you can't do that when you're unhealthy, sick, diseased.
It's ride your heroic healing horse. And one last thing I'll say about psychology, and we'll wrap, is that speaking of control, we have been programmed to react internally with a lying voice that shames us for, oh, you're a control freak. Actually, yes, I am. I am the only one that is controlling this temple. I am the only one. So there's a lot of gaslighting that we've been programmed to think that we should feel shame and ashamed of being maybe not a control freak, but a control freedom warrior. Because they don't want you to be
control freak for freedom. How's that?
Exactly. And Ray said this, you've spent your whole life outsourcing your health to people who don't care. They give zero fucks about you.
Right. You care. And that's what I loved about you. I was like, I drank the juice, and those good people like Wendy. Yeah. Wendy looks fucking gorgeous. I mean, she's looking great. Joanne looks great and her energy's better. Like all the people that have just stayed around, they didn't come in for a quick fix. They focused on they're like, you can't, that's another thing you can't do. All you guys go to all these different people. I need to go to this person, bungee hop over here. No, focus on one person and work with them. Stop jumping around for all these answers. Well, focus on yourself with that person that can mentor you to freaky freedom.
Yeah. And then what's the focus is like, what am I doing all this for? When I feel better, what am I now going to do? Because when you don't have your eye on the prize, if you aim at nothing, you're going to achieve that every time. So it's not just, some people say, what is your reason for wanting to be healthier? Oh, I want to lower my A1C levels. And it's like, wait, that's not a goal. That's a program.
Stop listening to your lesser self. Your lesser self will keep you the same.
Yeah.
There's always two voices going on in every one of you listening's head. You all have an angel voice and a devil voice. Stop listening to that devil voice. Listen to the one that wants you to do the harder thing. The convenient thing is bullshit. The convenient thing's not going to get you anything, right?
Yeah.
You're
right.
right.
Actually, I will say this.
Mm.
The convenience, if people do the convenient thing, I think it brings us back full circle to consciousness, because people have to realize we awaken from our programming and we try to execute in the programming and we fail at it. And we're like, oh, wait a minute. So a lot of us were awakened from the programming that we were taught to reach for. And I think that the path to consciousness is to walk through the consequences of unconsciousness. So I believe there is a purpose along that path. And it is to realize that it's not the path that will lead to the outcomes that we think that we are going to get. It's actually the outcome is completely different than what we've been programmed to believe. So I think it's that. So it's not to shame anything along your path, because it woke us up. But you guys, we're going to wrap today. Great conversation with Ray. Now you can see why he is such a powerful coach.
The outcome's in the suffering, to be honest.
Yeah.
The outcome, like, dude, if you didn't suffer, do you think you would be the Diane Kaiser you are today? Definitely not.
No.
Definitely. Dude, you read Diane's story. It's fucking amazing. Like, I've shed tears reading it. Like, I think she's an amazing person. And I was like, you know what? That's a woman I want on my side, man. Someone who's fucking suffered. I don't want people who haven't suffered around me.
Yeah, because suffering means that you've leaned into the humility of, I chose something that I was enslaved to believe and it didn't work. And now that is the seed to help me realize I am the one that can do this on my own. So it's all for a reason. So Ray, thank you so much for being here on the show. So appreciate you. And Ray is certified now. He has his own hero journey. He's helping other people with it. If you guys want to join us for the VIP, we're hopping into the other side right now, or Carrington's going to lead the call today, dianekaiser.com/VIP. You join for $1, or the elite VIP group, which we talk about more things in regenerative medicine. We have 2 more calls a month and you get access to all of the courses. Or alternatively, if you'd like access to all the courses, the elite VIP calls twice a month, where we're talking about peptides, bioregulators, as well as the VIP group, where we're talking about the foundations of medicine and health, like Ray's talking about today, what helped him. Join us for a root cause reset. That's dianekaiser.com/RCR. And people who join before May 22nd will get 1 free month in the elite VIP group. That is a $300 value. You guys will get everything that you need to become your own best doctor in 8 weeks. We start in June. Enroll by June 1st, and you guys are going to get that extra gift before May 22nd, but we get started very soon here. So thank you again, Ray, for being here. And thank you everybody for listening and for caring. I never say this, but please subscribe, leave comments, ask questions, below. That's actually what helps grow the channel, and share this with other people who really need the hope, who need the nudge, who might need a little whack on the top of their head to be woken up by Ray, who has awakened himself. So thanks for being here on the Cleanse Healing Night podcast. Cleanse Healing Night podcast.
Well,
thanks again for being here on the Cleanse Healing Night podcast. We'll see you guys.
What is that?
This is my shaman feather.
Ah.
If you want to fly, you must first know your why. First, love yourself. Fly first, love yourself. What's your why for doing all this? What's the point? Not A1C. I can tell you that right now. All right, you guys. See you in 2 weeks, where we will have David Wolf on, talking about some things that are actually going to rock your socks off and awaken you to other alternatives that are even beyond today. Cool. Yeah, next week.
All right, thank you guys for listening.
Be well. Thanks, Ray.
Take control.
Stay free. Stay healthy. Bye, guys. Woo.